roll.
All right. Hello, friends. Welcome to today's episode of the Jason Nellis Show. Shocking to many of you, I am Jason Nellis. And today I am here interviewing one of my personal culinary and media heroes. It's Chef Mike Haracz. You may know him as the Szechuan sauce hero. You may also know him from his TikTok, but I know him as the guy that nerded out with me at E3 several years ago, and we've been internet buddies since. Chef Mike, it's lovely to see you.
Hey-o! I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for the invite, and I always like talking about myself as much as possible. Makes me inflate my head even bigger.
I mean, you're talking to a guy who named a show after himself. I think you're in the right place. Don't
Good name,
worry.
though. It's a good name. Solid name, for sure.
What can I say? It's very generic, you know?
Love it.
Lots of... Awesome.
Average.
Well,
it's just a name. It's cool.
Story of my life. So today we are going to touch on a couple of different subjects. And I should say the last guests I've had have been pretty primarily in the tech review space. And this is the first time we've had the opportunity, I should say I have a team here. I have had the opportunity to interview somebody from the culinary space. I have family in the restaurant world. This is a space that I know and love, but I imagine a lot of folks don't. I'd love to start first, Mike, with your culinary journey. What brought you into the world of food and starting your career in the kitchen, where I think a lot of people sometimes get intimidated? It seems like you found your home.
Sure, yeah. So, like many aspiring chefs, I started out as a little kid cooking with mom and grandma, peeling the potatoes, breaking the ends off of green beans and things of that nature. And all growing up through even junior high and high school, took all the cooking classes that were available to me. Loved watching, I come from the era where Emeril Lagasse kind of blew up when I was in junior high school and high school. So like TV chef stuff was pretty awesome. So I was like, I want to open up my own restaurant. Get into culinary school. I went to Johnson & Wales in Providence, Rhode Island, and quickly learned I did not want to open up my own restaurant. The chances of success working nights, weekends, and holidays and all that stuff, the story goes, as I tell people, I wanted to have a family and a life, but realistically, I played guitar and I needed to be in a band after graduating. And nights, weekends, and holidays, that's show night, okay? Couldn't be in the back, flambeing and whatnot. I needed to be up in the front melting faces, ripping guitar solos. So I did learn about this R&D chef world, food science, product development while I was in school. So I actually did graduate with a bachelor's in culinary nutrition, just because at that time that involved if I wanted to be a registered dietitian or if I wanted to be sort of what I do now, the research chef, developing recipes for supermarkets, chain restaurants, and things like that. So I worked in the industry even when I was 14. I was allowed to work because I was part of this culinary program. So I worked in regular kitchens. I did an externship while I was in college in the United Kingdom, working in fine dining, big country club. So I spent a lot of time in restaurants, but then I got to the point where it's like, you know what? I want to do other things too. As you will learn in my life path, I do all kinds of ridiculous things, not well, but love doing them. And that kind of led to my career as a research chef. So I've, since 2006, have worked for a variety of companies, some of which one of them was I was the manager of culinary innovation at McDonald's. Worked in some other places. Pandemic hits. I need to turn into a consultant to pay the bills because, like many, I was separated from my employer at that time. And then I started a YouTube channel, hit social media stuff real hard, making my own content and all that. And then from about 8 or 9 months ago, I'm now back full-time at this big global ingredient supplier who none of you've probably ever heard of, called Univar Solutions. So back at doing my R&D shenanigans, more corporate world, but I still do all the fun stuff on the side as well, especially all my internet shenanigans.
Love that. One thing I'd love to know a little bit more about is, for a little context, I went to undergrad for acting. I came to LA and realized very quickly I was not an actor, and actually have been told that by many other people.
Oh.
It isn't the talent, it's the talent. But for you, it sounds like, your experience, for a lot of us that don't know a lot about about the culinary world, might find that unique, that you come into it and realize you don't actually want to be a chef in a restaurant or a hotel. Is that more common than we would expect, or is yours kind of a rare story?
Yeah, no, it's more common. And there are, I mean, when you think about, most people think of a chef as somebody who works in a restaurant, or if you get your culinary degree or whatever. There's hundreds of jobs that are culinary related: food ingredient sales, just front of house management, serving, food photography, food styling, food reviewing. I mean, there are so many different roles that if you love cooking, you can do that without having to invest 90 hours a week, invest all your money in working in a restaurant. So, I think that kind of industry and that world is certainly smaller than people would, than it really is. But all those jobs are out there, all those types of careers. Once you're in this kind of industry, you hear of all the other kinds of opportunities. So to me, there's really restaurant chef, caterer chef, and then chefs that do all the other kinds of things that, again, a lot of people don't know about because it's not my name on the door. You'd go to McDonald's, you're not going to Chef Mike's restaurant. So I've developed things for Walmart, Sam's Clubs, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. There is a statistical chance you, the viewer, have eaten something I've made or helped create. It is quite possible because of the volume of things, the size of companies I worked for. Like, I've developed hundreds upon hundreds of items that are at your supermarket in one time or another. So there is a chance you are eating a very tasty, delicious Chef Mike macaroni salad at a Walmart or something of that nature. And the other fun thing too is, yes, I may make a very, let's call it, affordably priced food item at a Walmart. Okay, as cheap as you can make it, filled with all the things you don't want. At the same time, I've developed a lot of things for that Whole Foods consumer: all natural, organic, gluten-free, paleo, all of these things depending on what that customer wants. So my job is not to say, Chef Mike makes it this way, this is how you're going to like it. It's, you're the customer, what do you want? And I make things for you.
I love that. I think it's so different from the ethos you tend to hear in pop culture around cooking, right? With the menu that just came out and everything we've ever seen and read about Anthony Bourdain and other, call them celebrity chefs, who tend to, maybe not Bourdain, I don't know that he was this way, but the sense that sort of like it's presented to you in the way that the chef intends for it to be consumed.
Right.
Do not put salt on this. Do not put hot sauce on this. Do not do anything to this, because if you are, you're
for the steak. Let me get the ketchup for the steak. Oh,
right.
What?
If anybody says A1 sauce in a high-end steakhouse, they're immediately thrown out and banned for life. And from what I'm hearing from you, you tend to advocate a little bit more, enjoy it the way you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. Whether you like the Walmart cheap, macaroni salad versus the high-end, fully organic one from Whole Foods, it's really about what you want.
Yeah, and it's the experience you're looking for. People want to go to a Gordon Ramsay restaurant to try how Gordon Ramsay makes a thing. Makes perfect sense. Or I want to try this authentic ethnic cuisine from somewhere that's old school. That is how they've made it for hundreds of years. Awesome. I'd love to experience that. That does not mean my, let's say, Caucasian tacos that my mom used to make with the little packet of seasoning. Not that that wasn't an amazing culinary delight, but there are plenty of families and people who either that's all they've been exposed to, that's all they can afford, that's what they're used to and they like. They want their green bean casserole with canned green beans because they like that texture, even though it looks a certain way. It is my job.
I get it.
Yeah. I mean, if you grew up that way, you might like it. But again, it is not in my specific role and the kind of person I am not here to judge anybody on their preferences. If you say XYZ ingredient you've never heard of is so bad for you, you don't want it, regardless if you're right or wrong, whether there's data to support what you're saying is irrelevant to me. You don't want it, I'm going to take it out, or you're looking for something, I'm going to make it for you. So it is a different mentality than that traditional restaurant chef. Like, I'm not going to go on Iron Chef and kick butt on there, you know. But if you tell me who the judges are, I do my homework. I understand their income level. I'll review the episodes and understand what foods they do like and don't like. So I can devise the perfect meal for them, just not like random, this is how it's supposed to be. A lot of what I do is research, data-driven, and that kind of exciting world.
Well, I love that. I love the idea that there's a part of the culinary world that's much more focused on data and science than it is sort of the postmodern interpretation that we have of chefs as being sort of these temperamental artists who are all tortured that need to express themselves in exactly this way with food, and that, you know,
and
I mean,
that's a thing, and that's totally cool to be that way if that's your thing.
Yeah. I'd love to hear a little bit about, if you don't mind sharing, you know, one of the things folks probably know you for is being responsible for the cultural moment around, you know, Rick and Morty and the Szechuan sauce and that reference, and you're being the one who delivered that to Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, and that was a big thing. You know, when that happened and you saw that episode, did it spark an aha moment for you? Did it take a minute for you to go, you know, I bet we could track that down, but maybe, you know, is this the right thing to do, you know, from a corporate perspective? If you don't mind, walk me through a little bit sort of what that looked like and how that went for you.
Sure. And I'll give you all the gossip just for reference. We are, I mean, I don't know if you're up to date. We are no longer supporting Justin Roiland or Dan Harmon in life.
I was going to say we should call out both of those gentlemen have some problematic issues, and Justin Roiland did literally just get fired as of yesterday.
So I am not here to support Rick and him or the show. If the show goes on, do its thing. We're talking about things that happened in the past.
Right.
See that? Disclaimer here. So
love it.
At the time, as if we were playing poker and you made appropriate decisions back then.
Right.
Episode 1, season 3 airs where they call out McDonald's to bring back this Szechuan sauce. Now, my time at McDonald's, I was fully media trained, as you could probably tell, to not say inappropriate things, to represent the brand in a certain manner, to be neutral on a lot of topics, because it's not my role to influence folks in that area. But somebody, an owner-operator at McDonald's, tweeted at me. So the Twitter was in its, again, you may or may not be supporting Twitter at this time.
There's nothing we can talk about at this point that isn't problematic. We recognize
that is very true.
That's fine.
That is very true. But at the time, that was kind of the platform I was also growing on. Being in bands, being kind of ingrained in social media. I was in college when my school got the Facebook that you needed your college email address to sign on to. So like, I am just old enough. I'm 38, so I am on the old side, but social media and that kind of stuff was always ingrained. AOL chat rooms.
I need to interrupt you here because you and I are the same age, and I'm not feeling good about my age when you talk about us being
old.
We're
the right age. We're the right age.
We are the correct age.
Be in touch with the youngins of these
Thank
worlds.
Goodness.
But so I had that social media presence. Owner-operator tweets at me, "Hey, Chef Mike, we just gave away," there was this like promotion for Big Mac sauce, giving away 10,000 bottles, Big Mac sauce for free. People came in. "Chef Mike, we just gave away this Big Mac sauce. Shouldn't we bring back Szechuan sauce?" I'm media trained, and I know I am not supposed to say anything, all right? It's like I'm supposed to avoid the discussion. But I was like, you know what? If anyone asks me, I'm going to pretend like, oh, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I kind of did. So I quote tweet a response, and I said, I'll see what I can do, all right? So publicly, he called that out. Rick and Morty brings it. I'll see what I can do. Hours later, thousands of retweets. The media articles say, a chef from McDonald's says he is bringing back Szechuan sauce. That is not what I said. I had to go to our legal department, show my phone, show the tweet. Like, I didn't know. I just responded. Somebody, our owner operator tweeted at me, and I just responded to him. But
and look how few followers I have. This is totally legit,
right? It's not my fault that it blew up. This is right here using the big old noggin. So that was a little, pebble in the pond, and then the ripples blew up. Obviously, McDonald's did want to play in that space. They were very concerned because it is a incredibly inappropriate TV show, and McDonald's is very conservative. So why would we engage? So we started off by making these big jugs of Big Mac sauce. We made Szechuan sauce. We made 4 of them. Gave one to Justin Roiland and the crew over there. 3 we like gave away in some kind of like raffle. One thing led to another. Deadmau5, the DJ, bought one for like $10,000. I got a whole nother story about him and other shenanigans we could get to in a minute. But then things kept going. I was in the meetings of, okay, what are we going to do next? So I'm like, hey, these are super fans. Let's try to get everybody that like, no, Chef Mike, we got it from here. Okay, how many of you are Rick and Morty fans or have ever watched the show? Or like, nope, you're like, we got to do our research. We don't know anything really about this show. So I said, this is going to go poorly.
Right.
So all my influence of being a fan of the show, there were some one other individual at McDonald's, and then, big companies have these creative agencies that they use for whatever. All us young folk and creative agency people are like, this is going to be big. You guys got to deliver fan service. This is going to be awesome. Work with Rick and Morty, the creators. And McDonald's older folk were like, no, this is ours. We're not going to do anything with them. We're going to do a limited release. We're not going to get the official artwork. We're not going to call them out or associate with them in any way. Yada, yada, yada. D-Day happens, where there's not nearly enough for everybody. And I received, as you would expect on the internet, the most horrific, disturbing messages from people like, I waited in line, go F yourself, I do horrible things to yourself. All the worst possible things you could imagine. I'd get them by the thousands in messages. And knowing that, like, I don't know these, I did not care. It did not really affect me, and like, I feel so bad about it because it's the internet and these people don't know who I am. But it did blow up the world. Like, people in China, Japan, other Asian countries, India were like, what is this Szechuan sauce? That's not a thing we have. Why is this blowing up? And it was a literal global phenomenon. The last little point, which to me is like, yeah, Chef Mike is awesome and you should have listened to me. My second day employed at McDonald's is when they announced all-day breakfast, like it's coming back or whatever. And that was a very big moment for McDonald's. They spend X amount of money to promote all their stuff. Lots of money, advertising, commercials, and whatever. The whole Szechuan sauce shenanigans cost 3%. No, it was like 1.5% to 2% the amount of money that was put into all-day breakfast as far as social media, earned media, all those things, but was 900 times more engagement, impressions, views, global thing. So for almost no money, it got the biggest social media thing ever for McDonald's. Meanwhile, they spent all this money on all-day breakfast that was kind of coming out at the same time, and it was just like, yeah, some people liked it, but it was just kind of a neutral thing. So Chef Mike blew up the internet for a couple months, and then it crashed and burned really quickly after that.
Well, I there's so much to unpack from that. I mean, first of all, as much as I do, and don't get me wrong, I want to harsh on McDonald's corporate for, being short-sighted in that moment. Yep. Given recent events, maybe not the worst thing in the world that happened.
Correct. Like, I mean, I kind of got in contact with Justin and Dan and all that stuff. I mean, my experience with them was incredibly limited. I did like the show at that time. Yep. I mean, McDonald's could have done better with fan service, and it could have been more of a positive experience, but they wanted to go that route.
Yeah.
I'm not the boss. It is. I'm not the boss, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it strikes me that you, however, not being the boss, definitely bore the brunt of their decisions vis-a-vis your experience with the fan backlash.
I mean, I was kind of used in like the media stuff. So there's like, they made some GIFs or GIFs depending on if you want hard or soft G.
It's a hard neutral. G. It's a GIF. Let's be clear. In this show, in this space, it's a GIF.
Neutral.
It's not
neutral. I'm not confrontational. Doesn't matter to me. I always say both just to, make it clear. So people know Chef Mike is who helped bring it back. There was this like letter written that I helped write and gave to Justin on like, from Chef Mike, here's your sauce. So like my name is out there. So then in the media, when stuff hit the fan, it was, Chef Mike, you did this. This is your fault. I can't. I'm a cog in the machine.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you, but.
Let's switch a little bit then to after Szechuan sauce, the pandemic hits. You shift gears, and over the course of the pandemic, I watched as you really started to put effort into your long-term content strategy. And I saw you do demos in your kitchen where you're shooting, and you're starting to figure out your short-form content strategy. And as we were talking about before the show, you just crossed 100,000 followers on TikTok. Mazel tov and congratulations!
Thank you.
What is that feeling that you now have transitioning from working for a giant corporation to really being able to truly represent yourself online and being distinct in that kind of way?
So I do have to preface the story of, 2019, by the end, I was very much burnt out and whatnot from McDonald's. So I put my 2 weeks in, got a new gig, was at the new gig for 5 or 6 months. And then pandemic hits. So I'm a new employee. It was easy for them to kind of cut down on their employees at that time. At the same time, after I left McDonald's, one thing led to another, and I got a contact with Wendy's. And I'm like, hey, Wendy's, I am a former McDonald's chef. Just, I'm free agent now. They're like, yeah, would you like to be in some Wendy's advertisements? Absolutely. Would it be okay if we call you former McDonald's chef? Like, yes, please do. That's marketing gold. Fast forward, and just a side note, on TikTok, my strategy is former McDonald's corporate chef, because if I don't do that, the algorithm does not amplify my content. So I am leveraging, it's kind of like the high school football player who peaked in high school and talks about the game-winning touchdown. Like, that's what the people are reacting to. I'm going to use that.
I'm going to pause for a second and just say,
yes.
I think it's a little different, because if you were that archetype, you'd be, beer belly leaning back in a lazy boy, with potato chips, thinking about the glory days. You're very much.
I mean, I love all those things. I'm not going to say I don't do that sometimes, but right. So then did a whole big social media thing with Wendy's. It went over so well. They're like, hey, Chef Mike, can we turn this into a national commercial? Absolutely. So now I get SAG-AFTRA rates on being, I don't have to film anything, get a little bankroll. This was aired March 2020 in the beginning. Okay. So I'm like, awesome. I am ready to capitalize on being in a commercial. I was ready to fly out to, at that time, G Fuel to do some partnerships and content with them. Again, another company, you can decide if you want to. I no longer am associated with them, but do what you want. I was supposed to fly out to the 100 Thieves compound and film content on site with like nade shot, all this kind of stuff. Pandemic hits. Everything I have planned out the window. I cannot capitalize. I can't go anywhere. I can't visit. Flights are canceled. Everybody's losing jobs. Everybody's cutting down on everything. So basically, any momentum I had at that point was gone. I also needed to look for a new full-time job to support my family and children. So I needed to do stuff to make money. So the reason why I went heavy in content creation is because that is all I had out of necessity to work with some of these brands that I've kind of leveraged and built up. I did have that social media presence. So heavily did I reach out to, at one point I was representing a golf club company, t-shirts, energy drink. I had all these brands send me stuff to make unique content for whatever money I can get for that. So a lot of what I was doing was out of necessity, not I'm ready to be a content creator. Let's do this. I need to make money somehow. So a lot of what I did was because of that. Luckily for me, I'm very fortunate to leverage the McDonald's, job. There were some other content groups that I've done stuff with to kind of build up a little bit of a fan base. So I quickly, a lot of what I was doing was learning how to make content from scratch, not thinking that nothing other than getting my face out there. Did not necessarily care about engagement, comments. It was just, I need numbers of following to increase my value to then make more money. That was the reason why I did all that fun stuff. So, yeah, YouTube was a lot of fun. I did all that, but fortunately for me, and at a time that I really kind of needed it, got this new full-time job. Been here for about 9 months now or so, which has been very helpful for the pocketbook.
No, I'm glad. I think it's interesting to hear about your crash course in becoming an influencer. I think, really the themes I'm hearing from your story is that sort of time and again, out of chance and necessity, and in the case of the owner operator who tweeted at you a moment of opportunity to strike, it's clear to me that you've just been able to hear and see where the winds are changing and respond accordingly. And it sounds like, I know a lot of folks were experiencing tumult, as we all were during the beginning of the pandemic, and it's 2 years later, 2.5 years later, we're still experiencing that. But to hear your ability to roll with the punches and creatively build solutions and to leverage previous experience, to leverage previous relationships and opportunities into something meaningful is remarkable. I mean, I think it's a good reminder to folks that the best laid plans of mice and men, it's always going to fall apart. It's not a question of whether you stuck to the plan so much as could you adjust when the plan failed.
Right. And, I even have my first YouTube videos posted that is absolutely horrendous. It's just a cell phone, not in landscape mode for YouTube. It's portrait mode, so it cuts off the ends. No microphone. It's just, hey, here's the video of me doing a thing. Yep. And I always, even back in high school, kind of knew that having a social media presence and influence could be valuable. And at that time, right when the pandemic hit, if you're not growing, you're dying. So it was, I need to do something in between trying to get as many interviews as I could. At that time, it was, yeah, we'd love to have an interview with you. Oh, we're not actually hiring right now, but we'll let you know. Then this interview is pointless. You're not going to call me back. So there was a lot of that, a lot of reaching out to companies that I've worked with in the past. We don't have anything. We can't help you. We're getting rid of people. So there was a bunch of issues with finding the full-time job. So leveraging, like I said, an audience, trying to build an audience and learn, looking at other content creators, looking at how YouTube videos are made, how to edit them, angles, camera shots. Now, as far as the tech and things that I used, I am still at this point, even at the and I haven't done a lot of YouTube in a little while. I was using my iPhone. All right. It films in 4K. I used my old microphone stands and moving blankets as noise suppression in the room. I did invest in like a couple $90 lights to just make it look a little better. And being really lazy, I still got like a 60-foot lightning cabled lav mic where I would have to I couldn't move because it sounded the best out of everything I had and could not invest hundreds of dollars in a cool microphone. So I used what I got. I'm a loud talker. Don't know if you realize that. So I used to have to keep the lav mic upside down on my shirt on purpose because I'm so loud to at least have it sound halfway decent. But then all those things, I learned how to kind of make engaging content. I saw what worked, what didn't. And actually, that was incredibly valuable to the company I now work for as a promotional thing during every interview process. And even some of the interviews and some of the people that were trying to help me were like, you shouldn't talk about your internet stuff during these job interviews. Like, people don't care about that. And I disagreed with that 1,000%. Like, I have a following. If you hire me and want to leverage that for your brand, like, you now have 50,000 people on Twitter where if you want to say a thing, that many more people will see it or hear it. So that was actually a very positive thing my current employer liked because they want to make their own content. Chef Mike, can you just film the thing? Are you good at presenting, talking? A lot of what I do is also somewhat sales related. So you're in front of people trying to make the sale, make the deal or whatever. And because of all that experience that I got making my own content during the pandemic, now when it's, hey, do you think you could film a little video for, like, yeah, that'll take me a half hour. They're like, usually we, spend $10,000s to agencies to make this for us. Like, nah, I got my phone here. We'll make it. It'll be almost as good, not as good, but there is the value and ROI of that content. It's somebody knowledgeable talking, having a good time, quick edits and whatever. But I now saved the company tens of thousands of dollars making our own videos instead of outsourcing it, adding value as an employee, which again kind of made sense. And a lot of the things I learned during that pandemic time, totally used in my professional career.
Love that. Love all of that. There's a couple things there I want to touch on. The first is, we hear from other creators when I ask them, what are your best pieces of advice for somebody starting out? And their best piece of advice is always the same. And it's reflected in how you got started, which is don't go and buy a bunch of stuff you don't know how to use or spend a ton of money on things you might not need. Use what's in front of you. Just get started. And, excuse me, my own background, as we were talking about before, with performance and, being theater trained and all of that, like that helps a little bit. But the truth is, none of it really compares to getting in front of a camera, getting in front of a microphone and doing the thing over and over again until you feel comfortable. Then you worry about, do I have the right sound quality? Do I have the right camera quality? Are there lighting changes I can make? And I love and I'm refreshed at how you really took the opportunity, the necessity that came out of the pandemic and have really, you utilized what was in front of you and made something really interesting out of it. And there's probably some other much smarter, much more elegant person would put it together in a better metaphor. But there's something about sort of the chef in the kitchen who's like, well, what have I got to use? Okay, we're going to make a dish out of this. And that's what you did. And I love that. Do you find now that you're back in full-time, you're back in full-time employment, you've also got your content, do you now think about upgrading your hardware, or is it just like, it's not as important to me as it used to be?
Not so much upgrading, because I feel like I'm at a point where if somebody wants me to do a bigger, better thing, I'm going to have them invest in me. You want me to do a bigger, you think you got a nicer camera I can use, or do you want to go to your facility? I'm always wanting somebody else to fit the bill. Flip the bill? What's the saying?
Foot the bill, my friend.
Foot the bill?
Yeah, champion,
whatever that saying is.
Footing the bill. Yeah.
Yes, all of those things. I want somebody else to pay for it if you want me to engage in that.
Yeah.
I certainly wish the pandemic never happened, but the thing about becoming a content creator during the pandemic is production value. What you would assume production value is during pandemic early days was like, nobody cared about that super high. It's the content. It's the person. Am I learning a thing? So there was a time where there was no need to upgrade to an amazing camera and kitchen setup, because everyone knows you couldn't afford it. People know you can't do it. People know people are starting out trying to make content with the little stuff they have. They're on lockdown. They can't go anywhere. So I think people were accepting of the fact that the poor lighting, the bad camera angle, the microphone that sounds a little echoey, you could tell I was in a big open area. Like those little things people were just like, you know what? We don't care about that right now. Give me the nuts and bolts. Things that I did learn are 45-minute YouTube instructional video. Might be a little long for most people. How do you cut out you whisking for 2 minutes? Like that is unnecessary in that kind of video, unless you're doing like a live stream or something of that nature. So it started early on. I was like, I'm going to tell everyone everything, how to make it. They could follow along. And as time went on, it was, you know what? We got to make this kind of shorter. Let's do it 10 minutes. Let's keep, we need people to watch the video from beginning to end, because algorithms, making it shorter is certainly going to help that. And now that we're in TikTok era, it was, okay, how do I cram as much of the stuff in the Mr. Beast style of, I just need people to watch the whole video all the way through. How do I do that? And that's, brings us to the TikTok strategy of why I'm building an audience there. What I found works and what doesn't work is because of the experience I had during the pandemic making other kinds of content and seeing what works.
And you talked about the editing process being something that I assume was as new to you as the setup and the technical side of recording. Are you doing your own editing? What are you editing in?
I
And
edit
what's that
on
process like?
a $2.99 app called like Video Shop that is an Apple little something or other. I can upload my scenes from a camera roll, so I always upload the entire video. And the other thing that I would always do, and I also talked about it in the videos, is I'm making one thing. If I mess it up, I'm going to record that, and you're going to see that. So there's one episode where I made ribs, and I bite into it, and it's I can't. Hey, everybody out there, the ribs did not turn out. This is what you probably could have done. And I leave it in there because I cannot, you're investing in food every time you make it. I didn't want to waste anything. I needed to feed the family. So everything I cooked there was dinner or was a meal. So that's a bit of an investment just in the food itself. So I couldn't be wasting anything. So I would get all my scenes in order. I would then cut them beginning and end each scene until I was like, yeah, that flowed pretty good. Then I would add my text over or whatever, which would be very basic font in and out. It got to the point where my shtick was editing Mike would make comments about Mike in the video. I'm like, oh, dude, look, I could hear your microphone. You're move it away from you, dude. And I would put that editing Mike would yell at myself because of how I filmed it. I'm not going to go film it again. I'm not going to buy more food to do that. So I got that little like shtick in my YouTube videos for a while. And then it got to the point where I was kind of being more strategic of, I just need to make this scene. We're going to make this quicker, maybe just a quick little hack and all these things so I can produce more videos and more opportunity for the eyes and the views versus kind of that long form stuff.
Makes total sense. And I think you bring up something that's really important to the not just the culinary world, but to all of us in the idea of food waste. I mean, it's certainly a challenge we're all dealing with and certainly isn't something that should be taken lightly. I think of a lot of creators, particularly when I think to the early days of sort of culinary YouTube with Tasty and Tastemade and those guys and how perfect and beautiful everything looked. They must have
Epic
gone through
Mealtime. You remember Epic
those
Mealtime?
guys.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
80-pound Super Bowl stadium of bacon and pork.
Ugh.
I hope somebody ate a good portion of that.
I mean, I hope they had a cardiologist on staff too.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah. I think the thing that's interesting to me is the idea that we don't really think about as viewers and as consumers of content, that on the production side, it isn't just what we're watching, that there may have been or must have been for a lot of the professional high, the high production quality videos, lots of versions of that was recorded first that maybe just ended up in the garbage. Is that something you've experienced and seen with within the food science world, the culinary world, or is it do you have any insights into this that would be worth sharing?
I mean, food waste is always an issue. Big companies, I work for a global ingredient supplier, so being ethical on food we use, on reducing waste. I actually have my employee Dylan over here who convinced me to stop buying plastic water bottles because they're not as recyclable, and I could just refill my refillable water bottle all the time. So even people around me are convincing me to be more conscious about the things that I do. But there are scenarios, especially in R&D world, where when I look back on it, I'm like, we need to figure out a better way. QA, quality control, food safety is of utmost importance. So if you're manufacturing big old 10-pound Tetra packs of macaroni salad, okay, QA, quality control, or QC, needs to take one of those off the line, open it, and evaluate it to make sure that it's appropriate. Take 1 or 2 bites. Once it's opened, what do you do with it? You have to either give it to staff. You can't necessarily donate due to regulations, open, exposed, refrigerated food. So then you're kind of wasting all that stuff. Or if you're doing these advanced shelf life studies where you purposely put stuff in a refrigerator or a freezer until it expires and past that to understand why does it expire? Are there things we could do to increase the shelf life? Are there either natural things or chemical things that we can do to extend it? But now you have fridges of spoiled food that you're doing it on purpose that you're going to throw out. when you're selling millions and millions of pounds of things and food safety is important, it makes sense. But how do you balance being ethical, making sure you're trying to reduce food waste, trying to reduce all those things while also keeping people safe, keeping your brand and your quality control consistent? Just like I'm assuming, and in a tech industry, imagine if a microphone company sends out a bunch of microphones and half of them don't work for whatever reason. That's detrimental to your brand. Like, you just sent out this good and it's trash. No, it's all broken. It needs to be repaired. Well, if you did your QA, QC stuff on the line while it's being manufactured, maybe that could have been fixed. So all of those things are on top of mind, not only personally, but even in a professional setting. You know, things in the food world like recycling and upcycling, using spent grains. So a lot of people are putting, let's say, the grains that are used to make beer and alcohol and stuff. You can repurpose that, put it back in food, in bread, use, some stuff that used to be thrown away, like soluble fibers on the outside of plants and things, are now repurposed and actually have a function in food that we could then utilize. The downside is some people are like, I don't want that in my food. That, I don't know what that is. That's a fiber. Why is there anti-caking in my Parmesan cheese? I don't know what cellulose is. That's a tree. Okay. You eat cinnamon, you eat spinach, you eat kale, you eat plants. What is the difference that it is from a tree versus a bush or a berry? Not my place to tell you what to do. If you don't want it in there, I'll figure out some solution to take it out. But we are all trying to do better and utilize everything at our disposal. So that's the balance we always are trying to do.
I love that.
Yeah.
If you were to go back to the beginning of the pandemic, when a more naive, younger Chef Mike was just getting started and trying to build his YouTube and TikTok presences, what is the one piece of equipment you would wish you could go back and invest in early, once you had the money to do so?
I wish I had a decent enough laptop where I could hook up the cameras to the laptop and have a better editing software. Because again, I used a cheap tripod and my iPhone pretty far away from my counter, up on a little tripod. Also, some kind of teleprompter would have been nice. Everything that I said and did in those videos, nothing was scripted. I would just have to come up with it, which again, I learned how to do better at filling time, describing what I'm doing, talking about the process and all that. Not because it's informative, but I'm just trying to be engaging and fill this time of me chopping a thing. So how do I do that? So a pretty simple teleprompter, and then an actual decent enough laptop with a nice enough camera that would be easy to maneuver and get the shots that I want, and a little better editing software that could do more. Like, I had one song that was free on the app that was license free that was in all my videos. I'm like, that's the one I'm going to use.
Yep.
I didn't really have options there versus having those kinds of things available to me.
Are you familiar with B. Dylan Hollis on TikTok?
B. Dylan Hollis.
So if you haven't looked him up, I'll do a quick rundown. So he is a TikToker who also he's released long form versions of his videos. But the whole premise of his channel is he's baking and cooking from cookbooks from early Americana. So Great Depression era, recipes.
I think I do know. Yes, yeah. I think I'm familiar. Yeah.
So what I think is interesting that you've called out is his TikTok makes it look like it's a 60-second fast cut of sort of the very quick, steps of what he's done exactly, with sort of these funny interjections. But the long form that I think is really interesting is he's doing exactly what you've described with a little bit more grounding in, as he's stirring or he's putting his wet and his dry ingredients together. He's talking about sort of what cooking was like during the Great Depression, or what ingredients would have been available. And I think it's such a fascinating example of how editing really changes the perception of something, right? As you described before, where, his quick content makes it look like it's this Robin Williams-esque energy quickly going through and trying something that's either great or terrible. But when you look at the long form, he's really taking his time and he's really explaining historical context and culinary context and what ingredients were available and what techniques would have been available to, cooks and chefs at the time. I bring it up because I think it's to your point about the content that you made early in YouTube. Part of what I loved about it actually was listening to you talk about the different ingredients, the science behind why these things interact the way that they do, and how, we hear these terms in ingredient lists that people are abhorrent by, they're abhorrent against. They don't want to talk about, but in reality, they're just, they're just, naturally occurring chemicals or compounds that come from things that we just have a different name for.
Yeah. For me, and I think at least with my strategy, which I think kind of work, was early on, if you are becoming a content creator, that kind of content works when you have a fan base who wants to see you and wants to watch that engaging thing. Even now, like with TikTok, my only goal is to build audience and get volume of followers. Because once you reach a certain level of that, and you have a fan base who likes your content, then I think they're more willing to stick around for the long form version as opposed to the quick edited videos. But those also who are pretty savvy would film the long form content that would go on YouTube. Then I would do the glamour shot of the food I already made for the YouTube to post on Twitter with a little caption. And then I would take the same footage that I made for YouTube and edit it down to the 13-second TikTok video. And then maybe I would make a 30-second one for Instagram where you're filming the one content, but you are breaking it down into all these different little pieces, which I think let's say aesthetically pleasing humans who like to maybe not wear as much clothing will do a huge photo shoot, which might take 20 minutes, but now they have a week's worth of content because they'll drop 2 or 3 pictures every day, when realistically they're not doing stuff every day. It was just that one set of stuff. I mean, any industry, sports analysis, the game footage. I'm a big fan of how Nerdist presents their stuff on TikTok now, because it's like, all right, here's one obscure little thing from this long form interview that we have. Oh, look at that. And it makes you go to their page, look at more stuff, and entice engagement there. So as much as I would like to
listen, I have to thank you, because you've now called out the new channel I'm launching, which is just all of my modeling shoots.
Beautiful.
We just do a 20-minute shoot, and it's just me in that Borat, very yellow thong.
Oh, that's fair. I could see a whole. I believe you're into fleece, so there's a whole fleece channel of just you in fleece. That's absolutely fantastic. I mean, it is. You look fantastic in it.
Somewhere my wife is crying all of a sudden, and she has no idea why. Anyway.
So much fleece, top and bottom. It's just, you're so soft and cuddly, but
it just
so that does make some sense. One of the things with my TikTok is I tried to make a little more long form content, make food, cook food, and do that kind of stuff. And no matter what I did, I have to say I'm a former McDonald's corporate chef, because then all of these haters comment on the videos, which makes the algorithm go wild, and I get millions of views and thousands of subscribers versus spending 3 hours making a food item and getting 8,000 views and no real engagement whatsoever. So there's a point where the investment isn't worth it. As much as I would love to just do cooking my own recipes, at this moment, my goals are to build an audience and leverage and utilize that algorithm for that. So now it's just kind of reaction videos, or I'm a former McDonald's chef. This is somebody else making a Big Mac. All right, it looks great. Hundreds of thousands of people see it.
Right.
But when I do something cool that I put a lot of time and energy, it's like no one cares. So I think once I get to a level, then I can maybe switch or transition back over, and it makes a little more sense to do that kind of content. And that's just my path. That's not necessarily going to be good for everybody. That's just kind of, I have to balance quite a bit of life, working, dad life, husbandry, those kinds of things.
I do very well, in fact.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, my friend, I really appreciate all of this. Before we go, the one question I want to make sure I ask.
It's been like 5 minutes.
Dude, it's been almost an hour. We could do this all day. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry. I just yap so much.
No, I love it. No, before we go, though, I do want to ask, because I don't get to do this with most folks. You know, I like to ask, like, what are the top tech things you need to have in your studio? But for you, I really want to know, you know, somebody who's now, my wife and I are splitting duties on breakfast and dinner, and it's really, I'm not a natural chef in any way. What are the 3 to 5 tools that I should know how to use, or I should make sure that I have in my kitchen to really up level my cooking at home?
Okay. I got excellent. And this is just off the cuff. First, invest in a decent chef knife. All right. That's going to be a general all around thing you're going to use. Fancy chefs will tell you you need a full set because each one there is a function and it works better. Yes, I agree. A 12-inch slicing knife, a serrated knife, 10-inch chef knife, 8-inch chef knife, paring knife, fillet knife, sharpening steel. But you need just invest in the one good chef knife because that is a very big all-around tool that you're going to use for everything. A mandolin. Are you familiar with a mandolin?
In fact, we just invested in a mandolin. I'm so glad to hear you say that.
You want to save so much time slicing tomatoes, potatoes, onions. It's a flat board with that little blade that you...
Yeah.
Fancy chefs use that all the time for little garnishes. You could start your cuts that way. So let's say you want to dice something. Start with the mandolin to get your nice pile of sliced tomatoes, and then use that amazing chef knife of yours to finish off the job. A good blender or food processor. Pureed things. So many different kinds of sauces and soups and things can be made by just pureeing in a food processor or blender. So many options.
So let me ask you a point of clarification here. Do you mean like a Ninja type blender, or do you mean like an immersion blender? Like, what's the better investment there?
Oh,
sorry, we're getting technical, but I got to ask the important question.
I do have both.
Okay.
An immersion blender is great for, you can do that in the pot or the vessel or the thing that you're cooking. It limits a little bit if you want to use that blender to make, let's say, a adult frozen beverage of some kind, or a real, let's say, what would be better for a blender? I mean, high shear sauces where you want a lot of action in there to make mayonnaise. Not saying you can't do that with an immersion blender.
Right, but it might take longer with an immersion blender.
It might take longer. It is more convenient, again, an immersion blender versus a regular blender because you can do it in that vessel. But some of those Ninja stuff works fantastic and gets the job done perfectly fine. The only last, let's see, what's another good one? A very fine sieve or colander. So obviously you know the colander that drain pasta in. They make ones that are much finer mesh. And that is incredibly useful for straining things, passing soups and sauces through, drying of, you want to use just a bowl to let more moisture out of a, washed berries or whatever. Sort of that fine sieve mesh colander or whatever would work pretty well for there. And the final one I have, only because I use it a lot for almost everything, is a salad spinner. Washing your produce, washing your vegetables, incredibly useful. Blanching those green beans for your green bean casserole, blanching those broccoli florets for your broccoli cheddar thing. You can put that vegetable in the salad spinner, give it some cranks, and it takes out a bunch of the moisture you don't want in there. Making French fries, you want to dry the potatoes off. That is another great way to get things started versus using a whole bunch of towels or paper towels. So salad spinners to me are a fantastic thing to use, especially after washing vegetables, kale, salad, herbs, rinsing anything, berries, mushrooms that are wet. If it's rice that you want to get liquid out of, as long as the basket's pretty fine, like, it is so useful for a variety of things. And you could even just take the basket out and use it like a colander to drain your pasta. It's multi-purpose. So those are kind of the things I use pretty regularly that have multifunction. I will say, last one, don't buy the thing that's cute and has a single purpose. Like, oh, I've got this cool avocado slicer. It only works on avocado. You don't need that. You can use a knife, a spoon, something else that has multifunction than just the singular little waste.
Are you attacking me because I kind of look a little bit like the slap chop guy? Is that what I'm getting right now? Is that what this is?
There's more things to do with a slap chop than there is an avocado cutter.
I'm not so sure, but I hear you.
Say.
Well, this has been great, Mike. Thank you so much. If folks want to check you out who aren't familiar with your work, where should they go? Where should we send them?
Gotcha. All you got to do is look up my name, and it's Mike Haracz, and it's spelled just like it sounds. Haracz. Harris. Just like it's spelled, just like it sounds. So
awesome. Well, this has been a treat. Thank you again. I hope we get the opportunity to check in with you in a few more months to see how you've helped build your current employer's social media presence. It sounds like a remarkable opportunity.
I may or may not have some other potential big things that I'm waiting on a contract for that I could show my employer so they could say it's okay that I do it. And it would be probably the biggest thing I've done. And that's all I get to say about it.
When we get out from under the NDA, I can't wait to have you back to hear all about it.
Super secret.
I love it. Well, Mike, thank you again. It has been a pleasure. And thank you all for listening. If you like what you hear and you want to check out more, check us out on YouTube, on your various podcasting services. And of course, follow me on Twitter because I'm loud and obnoxious there too. And you can get all of your annoyance right there in one spot.
Yes.
Indeed. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining. And we'll see you for the next episode.
Bye.